your conversation.
We just
That's right.
You don't want the world to know you talk about.
The DOT don't like it.
Yeah, that's what it said.
So
Last we heard
everybody
is-
know that. It'd be a bad thing.
We're on.
It's not getting paid.
Alright, so we have another half minute. Mr. Brandt not gonna be here today?
No, sir, he's not.
Okay. What about Mr. Mulder? Mr. Fairs is not. What about Mulder?
He was gonna join, he's at a conference, I think, and he was planning on joining, but he notified us a little while ago saying he was not gonna be able to call in.
Conference must be going good.
Might be.
Must be.
He must be at the Scamps conference, I bet.
I think that's right.
Yeah. You got us all ready?
Yep, we're on.
All right, I will call the June 2nd, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting of the OJRSA to order. We have an invocation and pledge of allegiance to be led by Commissioner Laramie Hinkle. I'm sorry. Is that a character somewhere, Laramie?
Could be, I don't know,
Okay.
could be. Dear Father, we thank this day, and we sure love you. Be with us as we go through this meeting, as we could do your will, what you would have us to do. Please help the people out in the plant as they are out there working in their daily task. Be with them. Be with those that are not here with us today. And once again, thank you for your blessings. In your name I ask it. Amen. I pledge
allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Laramie.
Yes, sir.
All right. Item number C on the agenda, we have two special recognition items today. The first one is, and we will actually do, these are action items, Chris, right? So I'll ask to have the board approve these. That's a question.
Yes, sir.
All right, the first one is to consideration of the OJRSA Resolution 2025-03, appreciation for the OJRSA Ad Hoc Committee Sewer Feasibility Implementation Committee. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Second, all right. Any discussion? I'm not going to read the whole resolution, but I am going to highlight a few, or I'm going to highlight the folks that were involved. I'll read the full name of the resolution. A resolution expressing gratitude to the members of the Ad Hoc Sewer Feasibility Implementation Committee and various professional consultants and advisors for their work toward the planned reconstitution of the Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority. And it's a great resolution. Chris, thank you for writing this. I do want to call out the names of the folks who worked, put in many hours on this. Joel Jones, Graham Rich, Amanda Brock, Chris Eliezer, Scott McLean, Celia Myers, Scott Paris, Sue Snyder, River Stillwell, and Scott Willett. We also want to express our appreciation to the Appalachian Council of Governments, Chip Bentley, W.K. Dixon, Angie Metlin, and Bolton and Mink, Catherine Amadon, and Pope Flynn, Lawrence Flynn. So particularly Celia, Scott, and Chris, thank you all very much for the work y'all have done. I think it's going, your work I think will go on for generations, I hope. Nobody has to do it again, so appreciate very much what y'all did. And Chris, will you make sure that each person gets a copy of this?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
All right, so we've had a motion, a second. I've had comments. Any other comments from the board? All right, we'll take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Second item, a resolution, or go back, Resolution 2025-04, recognition honoring the service of Commissioner Bob Fairs. A resolution of the Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority of Seneca, South Carolina to honor the meritorious service of Commissioner Bob Fairs. And Bob's not here. I guess Scott, he's retiring all the way. Is that right?
It is at the end of June.
In June. So, yeah. Well, we certainly appreciate Bob's commitment to the board. And Chris, on here, does it say how long he served?
I believe he came on the board in November 2011.
2011. That's quite a while. So we appreciate his service. I'll entertain a motion. Motion.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? I would just like to enter into the minutes, while it may be questionable that Mr. Ferris is a scholar, we do believe he is a gentleman.
I'll add to that as well.
And greatly appreciate his service to, not just to the board, but City of Seneca and Oconee County, our region, very much. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item D, public session, and I'm going to read that there is a note that if you'd like to speak regarding the budget, we'll have a special public hearing just for the budget. So if you're here to speak on that, please hold your comments till we get to that. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on any matters or general items? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Item number E, approval of the minutes of meeting May 5, 2025. Entertain a motion? Motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number F, committee and other meeting reports. Sewer feasibility implementation ad hoc committee meeting of April 10th, 2025. Ms. Lynn Stevens.
Okay, in the public comments, Mr. Tony Adams had spoke about how sewer service had been used as a political tool in Oconee County and how this factor needed to be addressed. And I kind of summarized, there was a huge discussion about this, so I just kind of summarized it. So the reconstitution memo was revised by Mr. Flynn to include consolidation of all the sewer systems for the OJRSA and member cities, including the city's outstanding debt. It also included issues that needed to be addressed regarding recomposition of the OJRSA, such as new governance and implementation documents, debt proposals, and how members are appointed. There was talk about keeping a 5-member board, 3 from the member cities, and 1 from the county. There was a question on how to get the 5th member. The original proposal suggested legislative delegation recommended and state governor appointed. Additional authorizations were added to the statute, include letting legislative delegation recommend and governor appointing the entire board, or to have a full-blown elected commission elected from the boundaries of OJRSA service area, which would require the recommendation as an elector. And there was some discussion about the definition of what an elector was and where the service area was. Ms. Brock from Oconee County suggested a transitional committee to bridge between the board now and the new board. There was some discussion about the valuation of the collection systems and how everyone involved will have to come up with the best solutions to consolidate. Everybody was in agreement that the consolidation of the systems will be part of the recommendation, and that major hurdles or obstacles will also be included in the recommendation for other committees to decide, or the board to decide how to get through them. The chair asked the committee members to think on the recommendations, to pursue implementation, discuss a change in governance, and discuss a transitional process to create a draft recommendation at their main meeting. The committee spoke about having a joint meeting with the OJRSA member cities in Oconee County with a presentation, and Mr. Alazier stated that the feasibility study report just requested the committee report back to the OJRSA in Oconee County.
All right, any questions from Ms. Stevens? All
In its
right.
entirety, this was a good read. It was very informative.
Lynn does better with minutes than anybody else. Thank you very much.
Learn better.
All right, do we do a proof?
It's an acceptance because they approved it, so
Okay.
it's just an acceptance.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes. Motion?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. All right, Operations and Planning Committee meeting, Mr. David Dial.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we met on Wednesday, May the 21st, and it was called, Mr. Ferris called the meeting to order at 8:32. We had some residents here, we had 4, from Cross Creek subdivision, and Mr. David Fales spoke on their behalf. Now, this was lengthy, and I'm just going to go to the highlights like Lynn did, but just read it to get to the meat and potatoes. Mr. Ferris stated the residents of today's meeting want to focus on the cause and the increase of the odors, the number of complaints about the odors, and the long-term activity, investigative or mediation to address the issue. And there was some conversation there about the communications, and Mr. Ferris spoke about the OJRSA being such a small organization. It would be beneficial to have one resident from Cross Creek as a contact person, so whoever called them back could speak to this one person. And that was agreed on. I don't know if Chris has got some updates on this or not. And there was just some back and forth that was communication related, saying they had not been getting their phone calls back, and et cetera, et cetera. And then it come to find out a little bit later, Mrs. St. John, one of the residents, spoke about letters that Mr. Al Chadwick from Cross Creek sent out about the odor. And Mr. Elzar said the letters weren't being sent to the OJRSA, but rather to the attorney, Larry Brandt. And that caused some difficulty in being timely. So that went on for a little while. Next, they were talking about the odors and when they started, and Ms. Elzar went into a lengthy discussion about a truck stop on 85 that had some problems with their wastewater system, and they had contacted us about helping them, and we agreed to do so, and that caused some problems in our own system. He said, Mr. Elzar said that the OJRSA started getting complaint calls during the first week of May, and then that went on, and he was very elaborate in what they were doing about it and what they were trying to do. Then on Monday morning, Mr. Elzar said that a person was walking along the force main right of way in the woods near Cross Creek Golf Course, and if I'm correct, it was around hole 5, and saw some water bubbling up. They contacted us. The OJRSA went out and verified it was a break in an 18-inch ductile iron force main, and he was notified. Mr. Shadwick was notified what was going on. And Ms. Elzar explained that this system had been installed back in 78 or 79 and how old it was. And the spill was estimated to be approximately 145,000 gallons, and I think that was reported in the paper so much, with 50,000 gallons recovered at the site and hauled back to the plant. And he was elaborate on what they did to that area down there. Mr. Ferris stated he didn't mind being a contact point, but he will reach out to Mr. Shadwick to see how he wants communication handled in the future. And he said he would take what was learned back to the community after our meeting. Ms. Elzar ended the discussion by inviting all the guests to take a tour of the wastewater facility in the future to further understand the process and how the odors can occur. Mr. Sy said he would be glad to take the tour, and all the guests thanked the committee for their time. And then we went to an update on the current projects. Mr. Elzar distributed the updated project list. He said there was no issues at that point, so we didn't get into that. General review and discussion of fiscal year 2026 budget was spoke about. And then the director stated that he would like to address the expenses in regard how to retain staff. Now, this was a very good conversation. He said that the 7 operational staff in the maintenance, operations, and conveyance departments have turned over in the past year due to pay. Ms. Elzar stated that the OJRSA has a merit-only pay system with no cost of living raises. So every 3 or 4 years, there is a reassessment of the pay ranges, which is supposed to capture cost of living. But the next assessment will only occur in 2026, and will not issue or be in use until 2027. And again, that was a good conversation. There was some detailed communication back and forth. Satellite sewer system corrective action plans. Mr. Ozar stated that the city of Westminster completed a cost of studies survey, and that was through the email that the chair sent out about that. And that was in the second paragraph. I was a little bit, I wasn't understanding what that was about, but I understand now. The actions needed to be recommended to board consideration. There were none that day. And we had some discussion on the environmental and regulatory compliance issues. In the upcoming meetings, we went through that. The operations planning meeting, and Mr. Ozar said there was some discussion about this being Mr. Fair's last meeting as a board member of the sewer authority. Mr. Fair stated that Mr. Riches will be taking that place on the board, and Mr. Riches added that the Seneca City Council will vote on his appointment on June the 10th. And Chris said that he stated that he will email an agreement and the resolution template to Mr. Mulder and Mr. Riches to review. Mr. Fair also suggested that Mr. McLean, I don't know if you knew this or not, but you're stuck in the hot seat, would be considered as the new chair of the Operations and Planning Committee. And it was agreed that the board would consider whether Mr. Riches will be on the O&P committee, and then would be up to the committee for elect as a chairman. And for just some a little bit of a lighter note here, of course, there was very few people here. There was just myself as far as the board. There was just myself, Bob, and Mr. Hinkle. And at the end of it, Mr. Hinkle and a lot of the others started filling up Bob's head. It just started swelling with all these accolades and wonderful things. When Mr. Hinkle started crying, I had to get a box of tissue to dab his eyes. And Bob's head got so big, we all had to borrow the sewer authority's wheelbarrow and carry his head back out to that MG vehicle he's got up there. So, anyway, the meeting adjourned at 9:38.
Thank you, Mr. Dow.
You're quite
That's one of their committee reports we've had. I'll entertain a motion to accept those committee meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Celia, Finance Administration.
I'll set an example, I don't know that I can follow. All right, May 27th, we have our Finance and Administration Committee. We had no one from the public present who spoke. We did receive an update on our current projects. While there was some discussion regarding which ones were on track and which ones were being postponed until the following year, we did learn that this was related to a time issue, not a monetary issue. Just being able to get this complete within the remainder of this year. So that was good news. Some things were moving faster than anticipated, always good news. We did approve the April and year-to-date financial reports. We did recommend approval to the board for not only the 2026 fiscal year budget, but also the schedule of fees. Our comical part was after we approved the budget prior to the schedule of fees, so we all kind of had to do that 5% increase there. And then it was mentioned during miscellaneous about the odor complaints that were discussed by the O&P committee, and also the possibility of allowing an impact fee, or it wasn't a possibility, but Mr. Eleazar talking about allowing a church project to slightly change the methodology of impact fee, since we were moving into this new rate and we did not have that particular size meter available. Ours was a little more boring than everybody else's. If anyone has any questions, I'll go into detail.
You still got a box of Kleenex over
All right, thank you, Celia. Entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Second.
In a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we move on to item G, Secretary Treasurer's Report. Lynn Stevens.
Okay, your report's in your packet with the graphs on the back. We have a total in all the accounts, cash and investments of $13,053,699. All the funds, or all the accounts were reconciled through April. I'm still waiting on a letter from Susan Staney's office for the March and the April reconciliations. I asked her the other day about it and still didn't get it. And we have no CDs maturing until July.
All right. Thank you. Any questions for Lynn? All right. Moving on to item number H.
Can you make a motion and approve that one too?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the Secretary Treasurer's report.
I'll second that.
I didn't mean to make a
Oh,
motion.
I'm sorry.
I'll let
I'll make a
Secretary-
motion that we
You'll
go
make a
ahead and
motion.
accept
I'll
the
make a motion.
treasury report, I'm sorry.
Larry seconds it. All right. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Lynn. I'm sorry I forgot.
No problem.
All right, item H, presentation discussion items. There are not any. Item I, action items. We will first open a public hearing regarding resolution 2025-05, adoption of fiscal year 2026 comprehensive budget and fee schedule exhibits D and E. I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing. A motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, any discussion? On,
Aye.
oh, you're aye. Oh, all in favor, please say aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? All right.
Where's Bob Ferris?
That's a preemptive buy there.
Yeah. Is there anyone who would like to speak in the public hearing on the fiscal year 26 budget or fee schedule? No. All right. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries. We are now out of the public hearing. Now we will move on to consideration of resolution 2025-05, adoption of fiscal year 2026 comprehensive budget and fee schedule exhibits D and E. I'll entertain a motion. Is that you, Larry?
Yep, so
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? I'll just give my thanks to the F&A committee. It sounds like y'all did a pretty good job of vetting the budget. Chris, you did a great job in providing us the memo detailing what is and isn't in the budget. It's almost like you got an MPA degree to do something like that. That was a great memo. All right, any comments, any discussions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, consider appointing Scott McLean as interim chair of Operations and Planning Committee, which will also include serving as a representative on the executive committee. Do we do that by vote?
I think this is one where you have the ability to just directly appoint this. I believe that's the case. In the way this is, the reason why it would be Scott is, I think that why Mr. Ferris even brought it up, is just so you have that general equal representation. You have a member of Seneca on there. Walhalla is already recognized, as well as Westminster.
Okay. Why don't we just declare it as such and move on?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hit him in the head with that hammer. over there.
Bring in the crowd.
All right, item number 4, I4, consider canceling July 7th, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting. Mr. Eliezer.
This is just my simple request. Typically in the past, I don't think we've had very much going on. Last year being one of the few exceptions. In July, the only reason we had the meeting, I believe, last July was when that was when Jason Gillespie and Catherine Amadon presented the 20-year master plan. Otherwise, it's fairly slow right there at the the beginning of the new fiscal year, but also selfishly this year. I think everybody knows it's my 25th anniversary. So my wife wants, I think she'd like to go somewhere, as would I, but I told her to leave it open, don't plan anything until she hears back from me tonight. So
Go to the Waffle
we've
House
not
in
booked
Omaha.
anything. We've made no plans. We have an idea, but no plans yet.
All right, so I will entertain a motion to cancel the July 7th board meeting.
So,
We have a motion and a second.
I'm looking out for your wife here.
Any further discussion?
Were you second?
Scott. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Chris.
Thank you.
Maybe you'll make it to 26. All right, moving on to item J, Executive Director's Discussion and Compliance Matters. Chris Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just a couple of things I have, and this has to do with the environmental portion of it. Is as it was mentioned a few moments ago, we did have that spill. We had the break at the Perkins Creek force main. 145,000 gallons we went through the typical protocol, public notice. We issued a water quality advisory and went through the appeal. Mr. Lindsay here worked with DES, Amy Tao, to make sure that we followed their protocol. I believe everything's okay. Amy, she came out to the site as well. She visited the site afterwards. Last I checked, which was the end of last week, we still have not completely finished the cleanup out there, which I think involved backfilling the excavation. I think, for the most part it's finished, but the ground's just so wet to get back in there. So you anticipate that being
Yeah, they
completed
took
this
some
week?
dirt loads out today, and they said it's still really wet out there. So they said they're gonna go back Wednesday to see if it's dry, but they did take some more loads.
And that, I went back and looked, going back throughout our history. We've got all of our SSOs in a spreadsheet, and from everything I can tell, I think that's the first break that I could find documented of any kind on that force main, which is really something, being that it's as large as it is and as old as it is, and with some of the issues that we've had in the system with corrosive soils affecting other duct line pipe. I think that's been a good line. We don't know exactly what the cause of it is. It's not. I don't think it has anything to do with hydrogen sulfide for sure.
On the bottom.
But this is the bottom of the pipe. So we'll try to figure out what may have happened there. But that's been a very good, solid line for what was that, 45 years or so. We have since, and this was on the 23rd, we got the call. Amazingly, how it always happens, the Friday right at 4 o'clock, before Memorial Day weekend, I got a call from Chris Morgan with Seneca Light and Water saying that we had a broken force main at Speeds Creek again. So we had to rally everyone. We got the flow stopped, diverted to the Martin Creek emergency holding tank that's over that way, and we limited the spill to an estimated 4,000 gallons or so. It did make some of that did make it into the waterway. DES again was notified of the situation, but in the budget that you just approved included the engineering and easement portion for the replacement of that force main. So that step will be coming to replace that, because that is the exact opposite of the one I just mentioned a moment ago. We had two or three or more breaks on it a year and a half for many years, maybe 6, 8, 10 years. So it's a problematic line. So those are the two issues we had. The odor items, I know that most everyone here, the commissioners that have been on the committee, have heard the update. They were there for that discussion with the residents of Cross Creek. I went ahead and brought it up here because I'm not sure if you had any questions. You may have been contacted about it as well, some of the odors. Okay, so I knew some of the commissioners were contacted by some of the residents from Cross Creek, I believe maybe through email. And we think the only thing we could think of is it had to do with accepting that wastewater from that treatment plant. And the day we stopped accepting it, we haven't had a complaint, I don't think, since the very next day. So that's been what, 2 or maybe 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. So it's mighty coincidental that, that when we stopped accepting it. But, again, it's difficult to identify exactly what the problem is because the treatment plant itself, it's a ship. You hear about ships, they don't, you don't turn to 90 degrees. It's a long, slow process. So with the flow we have in here, it could be something that came in through the system that was dumped days or weeks earlier that finally made its way here, or it could have been any number of things. But we identified 3 items that changed in the couple of weeks leading up to that, and that one was the only one that really made any sense to us. The other 2 have been things where we, periodically had those same situations come through when we never had the issues that we dealt with, but they were, I guess, a little bit of an abnormal operational situation that we had. So again, we feel pretty good about that was the cause of it, and we have decided since, even if we discussed it again last week, that I don't think we're going to go through that exercise again, accepting and mixing in flow. Certainly not under those same conditions. I don't know what we would do in that situation again. They needed help. We helped them, and we just didn't know what we were going to have to pay for that assistance, which was much more than any monetary cost. It was dealing with, I don't know how many, we received 17 or 18 complaints just one day. I don't know how many total complaints, but you mentioned about the calls. I think, we talked about it. I think we returned every call that we were aware of, and I spoke with Miss Kelly up front, and she remembered that she had received a call, and I believe it was from the lady here, and she was on the phone at the same time with another caller dealing with the exact same issue, documented it, and but as far as I know, that might be the only one that may not have been called back, and I'll have to get clarification again from Ms. Kelly, but I don't think that we were asked to give them a call back. It was just we were to make sure we were aware of what was going on.
As I pointed out in my comments, after listening to it, it sounded like a communications issue, and I think that was one of the reasons that Bob drove. We needed one contact over at Cross Creek, one person to call, one person to talk to, and that drove that conversation. Now I got a quick question. Did my memory serves me correct? You replaced 13 feet of pipe down there on the fifth hole at that a pipe that broke at Cross Creek, wasn't it? Did we
It was
replace?
more than wasn't quite that much.
No, it was only like 3 foot.
Oh,
Yeah.
3 foot, okay. And when you have an easement, now I assume from the dates of 79, was that easement in place before the golf course was developed?
It was, yes, sir.
Okay, so when that happens, the right of way, the easement is present over anything else, right? Over any property, because that belongs to the county, the sewer authority, or whatever. Is that correct?
We have the legal means to access it. The property still belongs to the owner,
Okay,
and once that line is abandoned or whatever the case may be, and we no longer feel we need the easement, that easement will be abandoned, and that will revert back to the owner. The area where we had the spill was out. It was in an area that looked like what you're looking at out here. It was in the woods. It was not on the golf course. It was, I don't know how many, several hundred yards away from the golf course.
He kept referring to the fifth hole. Right?
Yeah, and I think that was the nearest hole or
Okay.
the nearest green that there was to it, but it was out, out in an easement that we maintain. You've got a strip of grass where our pipeline runs down the middle of it, and trees on either side, woods on either side. So it wasn't as if it happened on the golf course, but that was, of all the issues and all the problems we've had with odors and everything else with Cross Creek over the last year, really the last 3 or 4 months with the overflow that happened around Valentine's Day and everything else. I was, oh,
And one
they
last
can't
thing.
catch a break, and we couldn't catch a break with what was going on over there, you know, with the overflows, breaks, and the odors.
Now, the Speed Creek force main, is it on the current project list for us to worry about moving forward?
It is,
I
yes,
thought I
sir, it
remembered,
is.
but I'll check in the morning, yeah.
We have that as a 1A priority.
Okay.
So we do have, you know, at the back of that, the little summary sheet,
Mhm.
there's a table, and it may be a little difficult to read because it's small type, and I can get you a larger one if you want. But that force main replacement is in the
I
priority
thought it was.
list. That one's documented in our consent order as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. And then any questions about the odor situation? So then lastly, just the NPDS permit update. We received back a draft copy of that, and I think I mentioned this at the last meeting that we had in May. We provided comments back to them in the middle of the month before the deadline, and made sure to mention too, to include the consideration for that peracetic acid feed that we would use to replace the chlorine gas. So we heard back from them last week, and that is still being considered. I don't know that there's any timeline as far as when they're going to address any of the comments that we provided to them, but I didn't hear anything. I haven't heard anything as of today. The only last communication we got was that they had received everything. It was in consideration. And I asked Mr. Lindsay to come in here thinking, you know, everybody might have some questions for him about some of the projects going on in the budget, but it'll make his life a little bit easier today too, so.
Well, let's not make it too easy. What project were you worried with, Mike?
It didn't matter to me.
Was there anything that you do want to highlight for us that we're going to do next year? I mean, you're talking about Speeds Creek, and that's a big issue for us. Is there another project that?
Yeah, the plant work here, I mean, to get the plant where it's the capacity for our 7.8 to meet it, you know, there'll be some gate replacements. That's definitely going to help. And then we got a couple more pump replacements, but that's the main, I think, project here at the plant for next fiscal year. Along with the screw presses and, you know, everything from the skip project. that's
Now,
gonna
I
be
would
happening.
assume, based on when you was on vacation, was the manpower issue. I mean, we talked about people quitting and driving, going back to work to drive to Greenville. And that, to me, when you consider if your time is worth anything, and the gas price, even though they're lower, it just seems, I mean, there's gotta be a big delta somewhere, something's going on, so I know that bothers me folks.
Well, and it's nothing unique. I'm sure Westminster is going through the same thing. Every city sitting here is going through the same thing. But, you know, when we're having people like operators leave us to go for, what's it, $7 more an hour to go work in Greenville to do the exact same job, not a promotional opportunity for supervision or anything like that. It's of course, it's a concern. We had a guy that started here September, talking about Ty. He moved
yeah.
here from Pennsylvania. We got him. He was a trainee, I think, up there. Does that sound right?
But he started as a trainee, then he actually got his A license there,
Okay.
and then he transferred reciprocity.
So we helped him. You know, we went through. Kyle helped him get through LOR. We got, you know, reciprocity, so that he came into South Carolina as an A licensed operator, and he was a great employee. But it's hard to, you know, he left here to go for $7 and $7+ an hour more up in Greenville. You know, and the way you think of that is, you know, what is it, 2,080 hours in a work year? Does that sound right? So you're talking $14,000 pay raise for what he left to go and do. So, you know, it's, and again, we're not crying looking for sympathy, because everybody is going through the same thing, but it does make it difficult, especially in these critical positions where you can't bring anybody in, even if you could train them up, 100% train them up to do exactly everything they needed to do in the course of a year's time. You're still talking 4 years before the state's even going to let them have the license, assuming they pass all of the exams even. So that makes it, you know, a little bit more difficult, but, you know, again, we'll continue trying to figure out creative and different ways to do it. But just to address what Kyle mentioned, because I did have these numbers here. Along with the skip money, we're looking at putting in close to $4.9 million into the treatment plant this year. That is our big push to get this plant back up to the 7.8 million gallons a day. Because I think right now you said you were able to push about 6 at the most, 6 million gallons. So that's going to be the focus for the coming year. Then years following, we'll get back out heavy, back with the collection system side of things. So, big year to come. So thank you. That's all.
All right, thank you, Chris, thank you, Kyle, always appreciate you. All right, next item, item K, Commissioners' discussion. Anybody have anything they'd like to talk about related to the sewer authority? This side, on this side, all right, we'll keep moving. Upcoming meetings. Sewer feasibility implementation ad hoc committee meeting will meet on June 16th at 9 a.m. Operations and Planning Committee will meet June 18th at 8:30 a.m. Finance and Administration Committee will meet June 24th at 9 a.m. And of course, we just canceled the July 7th meeting. All those meetings are here at the OJRSA. Chris, I guess you'll send out a notice if you need those committees to meet in July.
I will, yes, sir.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. A second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.